Ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for tuning in for another interview with another special person. I've got the one, the only Stage One Heroes with me. Um, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm actually doing really well, surprisingly well. I had a kind of touch and go week and a half. Um, so I'm actually doing surprisingly well, and I'm glad to be here.
Well, I want to say one cool thing and give you some roses as of right now. I like to say thank you for actually, it's hard to believe with all the things you have ever done. This would be the first time anyone's ever had you sit here with your face actually on camera to this extent. So I wanted to say thank you. I feel pretty honored that you're just doing this, just because. So I think that's pretty awesome and makes me feel that much cooler than the rest of the people you have ever interacted with. So big shout out to you on that. So I want to dive right into the first part of this in sort of interview. How did you come up with the name Stage One Heroes for Twitch?
So honestly, it just kind of came to me. It wasn't like a real like, in-depth conversation or thought. I literally only joined Twitch to bond more with my son. And he was starting his Twitch channel. He's kind of introverted, he's a very quiet guy. You spoke with him. And he's a very quiet guy. And I said, I wanted to be more with him. So I started the channel, asking what the name was. And since I grew up being a gamer, I thought it's stage one. Like it's the first stage of whatever you're going through is the first stage. So stage one heroes. And there's a drawing of myself in my normal gear and my wife and her gear. And we just kind of put that together and I ran with it. She has yet to actually join me on the channel, but sometimes she'll sit there with me and comment or do stuff in the background as we're going. And I did something for my son, the Storm Mayhem, for those that want to check that out. I did something for him and did artwork for him and just kind of like grew with it. And throughout the process, like I grew kind of not knowing or having no idea about Twitch or the extensive research and the knowledge that you guys have. And I started growing just by being me. So it's a little weird for me as somebody that does shy away from cameras, which is more than
Right.
as a truth. Um, do you know that I stopped taking pictures in fifth grade, all the way up into my high school graduation? There like are no pictures of me in between, and I joined the yearbook staff just to remove myself from every yearbook
That's kind of
going
sinister,
throughout.
sir. Don't come to Gotham. Don't come to Gotham.
Yeah, I'm just not that kind of person
This
where
is not
I
your
want to
thing.
be.
Photos in general are just usually not your thing. So
No,
I mean, I understand that. Hey, everyone's got their thing, and there's no shame in here. So from a little person till right about high school, you just didn't take any photos, and there's nothing wrong with that. So as a person who streams, so you strictly games, or do you do other projects while streaming, or is it just strictly games? And if so, what are your top three games you like streaming?
so it started out as just a thing for my son and helping him out and doing stuff. But it did change into the idea. I think I hit my stylus. It did change into me just doing artwork. And I literally started out just drawing stuff and just drawing stuff online because, my background and everything. I know we'll probably cover that. But it just started out with me drawing. And I would just jump into random people's channels, see their work, see their artwork, see the stuff that they had, their emotes, and said, hey, let me just do something for them. And I would draw it and give it to them. And that's just kind of like how I started, never even thinking about growing or how it was supposed to get done. I was just like, I can help. Let me help. This is something that I can do. Let me help with. And this is kind of like what landed our, friendship into, partnership and everything else. This is kind of what led to us because up until that point, we were just talking and I was a guy and then all of a sudden I was like, here you go. It
Yeah, I
just kind of
wonder, I wonder, I wonder
started
what
it.
that was.
Yeah, it just started. So
Yeah, I
um,
wonder.
I
Okay,
have no
so instead
idea
of so
why.
instead of gaming at first, you were doing art for people, And is that what you primarily started streaming, or you weren't streaming yet, like you weren't live?
I would sit around and work on a comic book that I'm working on, and I'm still working on because I go back and I always want to tweak things. I started off just drawing my comic because I figured, you know, trying to multiply or like merge my different passions. I've always wanted to do something with comics and put together a comic book on my own. But since I was doing something for my son, I said, well, let me go ahead and draw my book online, maybe get a little bit of interest with it, maybe, reach out to people, maybe talk to people, get some input. So I started drawing it online. And while I was doing that, I started doing artwork for other people because they would see my artwork. And it just kind of like kept spiraling out of, multiple people. I think I only follow like 3 or 4 people, as far as like intensively on Twitch. And, I woke up one day and it was like over 100 some followers. And I was like, okay, that's shock to me considering I never tried to do that. I don't even have the notes for myself. So it's just kind of a shock for me to even get that far out
Right.
of the blue. But that's how it started.
Okay. So we've got art, and I do know you game. What game are you currently playing as of right now?
I am in love with Apex Legends. I'm not very good at it. I would love to get better and figure out what I'm doing wrong. I also play Diablo 4. That is one game that me and my wife bonded over. Diablo 3, we bonded over that like hours and hours of time. But I'm more of an RPG kind of guy, strategy based thinking, stuff like that. Helldivers is definitely awesome. I should probably stream that. Just
Right.
sometimes when I sit down, I don't really game for long periods of time, so I don't stream it. But even when I do stream or if I'm online, I'll usually jump in and help somebody out, then disappear again for 3, 4 months.
Right. Okay, so growing up, I'm gonna backtrack a little bit. So growing up, you said you loved playing games. What were some of the games that you played, and what was the system that has your heart to this day?
So I'm going to absolutely date myself. Um, I was there at the conception of video games. Um, before they even became home consoles. I
Okay.
was there at the very conception of that. I can remember. See, the black community, we have like a culture thing with barbershops, and it's just part of our culture. And I can remember on a Saturday, being a little kid, however old I was, being dropped off at the barbershop, waiting around with a couple of quarters in my pocket, going to play Pac-Man and or Miss Pac-Man or something. And then, it was kind of fun, but then all of a sudden Dragon's Lair showed up. And that just blew my mind. Again, a kid that drew and liked art and all that stuff like that. It was Miss Pac-Man on one side and Dragon's Lair on the other. Which one do you think is going to get my quarters?
Oh,
So like,
Dragon Slayer all day.
yeah, Dragon Slayer was going to get it. So that I think that just kicked off the love that I was going to have for video games from there on out. And then when we started getting, computers at the house and the, Commodore 64, Atari, things like that just started coming over and we just kept going from there. Every game that we had, we always played like, Atari systems and Commodore systems, and Ninja was the one that stood out for the Commodore 64. If really needs to know, where my uncle would come over and play with us and make sound effects for the ninjas. So that was amazing. To this day, he's still like one of my favorite uncles because
All
who
right.
made custom sound effects. So
Okay, so within this game talk that we're having, this game talk, what's the one game to this day that you couldn't beat? What was the game that made you mad?
beat.
Throw the controller.
Um, I eventually beat it, but I don't want to say that I couldn't beat it. The one game that I eventually beat, because it took me a long time to try to solve like the puzzle in it. It's a very complex puzzle, but it made me think about it. It was Wild Arms 3. I played that game religiously for hours, and there was a point in my life where all I had left was a PlayStation 2. Going through like rough situations, moving from point A to point B and stuff like that. I didn't even have a bed yet, but I had a PlayStation 2 because, I carried it with me, through wherever I was going. and I only had that game and Yu-Gi-Oh. It was just those the only things I had, and I played that game religiously. And I got to this point, and it just I couldn't solve the puzzle. I couldn't solve it. And couldn't solve it. And I would walk to work. I didn't have a car. I would walk to work. It's like 15, 20 minutes to work. And I would work from like 6 to like 12 o'clock at night and walk back home. And the entire time I was thinking about how to beat that level on that game. It went like that for almost 2 years
Okay.
before I found the puzzle or the solve, the key to the puzzle by accident. Um, After that, I flew through the rest of the game because I had leveled up just roaming around doing everything else for time. But I flew through the game and went back and played it like 7 or 8 more times because I kept finding new things. So Wild Arms 3 is always going to be
That
that
one.
one gem that just stood out to me.
Okay. All right, we're gonna move along from Twitch, and we're gonna kind of go into a couple things that I am aware about you. That you are not only an artist, you have a couple other things as a multi-talented person. So let's go with your background. What type of background do you have? And we'll go from there.
So I like to be physically fit. That's one of the first things. I'm very competitive, to where I push myself. I push myself. I challenge myself. I ran cross country, track, 800s. You know, to this day, I still jog. I still move around and go to the gym on a regular basis. Not so much this last couple weeks because of the situation that I had, but I go to the gym regularly. I work out regularly. I try to push myself regularly. My background is I've been drawing since third and fourth grade. The earliest I can remember was probably a drawing in like second grade. I did of like George Washington Carver, just for art class or something. And I just kept doing those things to where it built up. My life is sorry. So I built up to where like life just kept going and I kept building up things. I ended up drawing, like I said, for the yearbook staff. I did all their clip art. I did all their artwork, and I built that up. I skipped right into commercial art, did some things, and I found my love for animation. Eventually, I got my degree or my bachelor's degree in computer animation, and I loved it. I worked for a couple of great studios, building things, working for the furniture market, international furniture market here in North Carolina, and that led me to design, interior design, which led me to instructional design. Then I went to school and got my bachelor's in instructional design and technology, and it fascinated me about behavioral constructs and methodologies and how people learn and their processes. That led me down to the life coaching path, and I got
Okay.
certified through Coach Element for life coaching.
All right, so let's dive right into this holistic life coach. Tell me all about it. How'd you come up with the name? What I want to know. Give me the 411. I see it
So
behind you because I see it behind you. I know you want to talk about it. I see. I see you. I see you.
Yeah, so the holistic part, believe it or not, wasn't my idea initially. It wasn't my idea initially. I wanted to life coach because I started seeing like people coming up with like negative constructs, and they didn't know how to break those cycles. They were stuck in those cycles. So um, so let me ask you the question. The question is like, how did I come up with the name? I was actually watching TV with my wife, and the show came on. So my wife and I absolutely love totally separate things. Totally separate things. Like she can watch a show that I have absolutely no interest in, and then I watch something and she's like, "Oh my god, that's the weirdest thing ever." But I think her thing is the weirdest thing ever, and it just but we kind of are nerds from different polarities. And I saw this show. It's called Dirt Gently. Amazing show. I don't know why we're never going to get a third season, but it's absolutely weird. And I like mysteries and things of that nature. It's like a 10, 12 part first season, and you won't know a single thing that's happening until 10 minutes before the last episode. Like it's just so crazy. No idea what's going on. But by the end of the episode, you're like, oh my God, it all makes sense.
Okay.
And then when you watch it again, it's like everything is in right in front of you. But it was like the holistic detective, and that's what made me go, "Oh my god!" With the word holistic being like straightforward and kind of in a linear path, that's where the name came up because I was thinking about a name. I'm like, what am I going to call my life coaching business? What am I going to do this? And my wife says, why don't you call it that? Because she walked in during like episode 3 and was confused. So I had to start the entire series over just so she could catch up. And the next thing you know, she was watching it through her phone, the entire time. So she came up with the name for me, and we just ran with it. And the more I dive into it, the more it fits me. So that's where the name came from.
Okay. All right. Now, how long have you been doing life coaching as far as being under the name holistic?
A little over a year now. A
Okay.
little over a year. I've had some very interesting situations to where I didn't even know I was getting ready to coach.
Okay. Elaborate.
So sometimes, people have a conversation and they start saying things, and in a casual conversation. I had a conversation with a friend of mine today, and I hope he doesn't mind that I'm saying a little bit of this, but I won't say his situation. But he's talking about some issues and some problems, and that he was going through in the past. And as a friend, I'm just talking to him. But just talking to him as a friend and talking to him as a coach, sometimes you have to be both.
Right.
And I say to him, hey, the caterpillar cannot comprehend the butterfly. And just giving him that little bit of nugget, like, hey, I understand what you're going through, I understand what's going on in your life right now, but you're at this stage. And where you are at this stage, you can't have expectations of what you were before. You can't expect people that were that way with you before to understand the changes of who you are now because you didn't know it until you went through it. So understand that this is a whole new stage and a whole new part in your life and how you're developing in your life now. And as long as you understand that this is a new you from here on out, and you're constantly going to be an evolving person, not constricted to the things that the way people used to be or the way you were beforehand. Like you have to cut that as a new,
Right.
and kind of saying that to him and letting him realize, like, hey, yeah, I did go this good thing. This good thing in my life did happen, and the people that did celebrate that with me don't know who I am. They knew who I was.
Right.
So just giving him that little bit, it kind of like shaped, or shaping the rest of his life. I'm like, hey, this is a whole new me. This is what I need to do to celebrate this new me.
Right.
So being a friend and being a coach sometimes kind of goes like hand in hand as far as what we do. But if I didn't say that and he went right back into that negative threshold, he's going to repeat those same patterns.
Okay. Fair
So
enough. Let me ask you this. Being a life coach, have you applied any of the techniques that you help people with? Do you apply them in your life as well to the extent that you coach people to use? Or is it kind of like, you know what? I live it, breathe it already. I'm going to pass this on to my clients. Like, how does that work in your day-to-day life as a life coach? Does that make sense what I'm asking?
yes, it does. Um, every day, I do something in an everyday fashion to where I get involved and start coaching myself. I start having those self conversations, those self reflections, those moments every day because it's not something that you overcome, it's something that you endure and you outlast. So it's every day it's something. I'm not a baseball fan. Okay. I know it's America's pastime. I'm not a baseball fan, but the analogy is the best I can possibly give in my life. You know, when you're ready to play the game and you're standing, on that home plate, you got the bat, and everything's going on, all the distractions, all the noises, right? You've got like less than a second when that pitch comes. You got less than a second. And it's like you have to realize whether it's inside, outside, over, whatever, under, you got to realize all that and make a reaction.
Right.
Right. Well, life is the same thing. Problems come out of the blue sometimes, and we don't have time to prepare for them, and sometimes we don't even see them coming. But the thing is like you have to slow the pitch down in your mind and your reaction enough to know what you're getting ready to do. If my wife says something and it triggers the old me because of my past trauma or my incidences or whatever, she doesn't know that.
Right.
She has no idea of that. So she's pitching something to me, but my response is what she's going to know. So I have to slow that thought down for a little bit and see where that pitch is coming from and how I'm going to react to it and get the best possible play out of it. So I do this all the time in my life. There's things where I'm sitting back and something happens and I'm like, do they really want my honest reaction? Or they just want a reaction?
Right.
Or maybe they don't want either one. So like I have to actually think of now, what is this going to do? And how's this going to play out the way that I want it to?
Okay. That's
So
fair.
all the time, I mean, there's other incidences, but all the time it happens.
Nice. All right. We're gonna switch it up just a little bit. And I want you to do your best with this question. Okay. When you're feeling down, what would be the animal that would best describe your blues?
My blues.
Yeah, when you're down, you're just, what's that animal and why? What would represent the blues?
I'm going to say that this is not like a great thing to answer, but being honest as we possibly can be, I have a rattlesnake personality. It doesn't really go to sad or depressed. It goes from roaming warrior onto his next battle.
Okay.
Like I'm just itching for the next thing to conquer, and I may get frustrated and angry that I can't beat something that's not in front of me, and I get more, because I'm a competitive nature. It's a never ending thing for me, and I may refocus my energy to get aggressive towards the thing that I want to do. Not necessarily more sad, because there's things that are in my control and there's things that I can't control. So not necessarily that. It's more of like, why can't I do this?
Okay.
And then I might get frustrated in myself or something like that, and then think about what's my next 2 or 3 options and how can I overcome and achieve this.
All right, fair enough. Now, who does it better? Marvel or DC?
Okay, so there's different shoes for different techniques.
That's not what I asked. I just said who does it better. No. No. Don't break it down. I just need to know who does it better.
If you want me to say a comparison, right? Just like a score comparison, and then the winner takes all. It would have to be Marvel if winner takes all.
Okay.
Marvel has better characters and better characters with backgrounds and fleshed out direction. Better stories overall that connect and intertwine. DC has better legacy characters. So there's some things where DC does extremely well, but not enough to where it does more to overshine.
Okay. All right. Which comic book character do you relate to the most? And it could be any comic book company. It doesn't matter. Just comic book in general. Who do you relate to most?
So I have a Marvel and a DC guy.
Give it to
that
me.
Are neck and neck, and they are nothing alike.
Okay.
My Marvel guy is Captain America.
Okay. Interesting. Why?
I mean, my daughter, I can't see that, but my daughter made me Captain America, cup holders and stuff like that. I have Captain America gear all over this room that you can't see. But Captain America is my Marvel guy. because no matter what happens, he's kind of like the pillar. You know where the line is. The normal guy's at the front. He's the morality of everything that's going on. Not just Superman is supposed to be truth, justice in the American way, but somehow he's not bound by the same things.
Right.
Cap is. And there's a different thing and a different weight that comes with that when you don't have excessive godlike power. It's a different sacrifice comes at a harder point when you don't have the ability to fly through the sun.
Yeah,
it
true.
comes down
Flying
to
does help. Flying helps.
being bulletproof and all that stuff. It's kind of like it's easy to stand with your chest out when only the thing from your planet can hurt you. So it's just a
Right.
different thing. Um,
Okay.
that's the thing about Cap.
Okay, and the DC
being the one
character
guy.
that you want to throw in there.
Nothing like Cap, but it's Guy Gardner.
Guy Gardner.
Guy Gardner.
Elaborate.
Guy Gardner is the reject Green Lantern.
Yes, yes, he is.
Yes. Who gets kicked off the force several times. Every hardship, nobody likes him. He's always like the worst person that's on the team. He has fought superheroes more than he's fought villains at times.
Right.
Sometimes the same book. He's like the worst example. But when it goes down, and when it's on the line, he shows exactly why he is on the good guy's side.
Okay.
And he makes that sacrifice. So, like, at the heart of hearts, he has the heart of a champion. It's just everything else about him. He's like very flawed, but everything else about him is exactly what you want to be from a hero.
Okay. How do you find balance how do you find balance in your real world, like where you're at, your home life, work, and how do you find balance in all your endeavors and online?
Priority. You just prioritize. Sometimes, I'll sit down on a Sunday or a Saturday and I'll schedule everything out that I need to do, whether it be in post, whether it be meetings, whether it be, anything that comes up. I'll schedule that all out, and then I'll prioritize my job, my family, and everything else comes second and third. Like everything else is behind that. Um, and I'll just take time for my wife, my kids. That's first. Um, my job will be next, or sometimes vice versa, depending on what I need to take care of the job and level of severity. But other than that, I don't really deal with anything else, and I don't deal with any other distractions. Nobody calling me up at 2 o'clock in the morning, want to go to the bar or nothing like that. I don't do any of that. I'm just more focused on my life and constantly developing, myself. That's just where I stay focused.
Okay. So at this moment where you're at right now, this moment in time, we're going to go back to, let's say, you're 16. What are some of the things you're going to tell yourself at 16? What's some nuggets and gems you're going to give yourself to help you along? What would you tell yourself?
Tell myself that your network is your net worth, and the sooner that you go get your animation degree, the better. Just go do it. Don't wait. Don't hesitate. Just go do it. My 16-year-old self wanted to do that. And, back when I was in school, being an animator or an artist wasn't a career field in 1995. That was not a career field.
Right.
But the funny story is that my wife was working at the parking, like at the Steinmark, which was a parking lot across from the university where I wanted to go at that time.
Right.
So I would have met her. I would have ran into her even then. Um, just the sooner the better. You know, like the sooner I would have done it, the better.
Fair enough. Okay. Considering you have kids, a wife, a career, what movie would best describe it to a T?
Favorite movie of all time, Eddie and the Cruisers.
Okay.
I know, very obscure. If you haven't seen it, please watch it. Call me back at another time and be like, oh yeah, I finally saw it. Yeah, if you own a copy of it, even better. It's hard to find, but favorite movie of all time, Eddie and the Cruisers.
All right. Fair enough. What's the best anime series you ever saw and the worst anime series you ever saw?
Oh, okay. So I'm gonna hurt some feelings.
Please do. This is your interview.
I'm gonna hurt some feelings. Um, I'm a One Piece guy. I love
Okay.
One Piece. Um, Worst that I can say. Oh God, I'm gonna hurt some feelings. Um, I don't like Dragon Ball.
We'll have to save that for another time, my friend.
I
We
don't like
will.
Dragon
That's
Ball.
okay. That's okay. We will have that discussion later. All right. Okay. Fair enough. Okay. What was the animated series that got you into animation? Or
Oh
anime,
my
sorry. My
gosh.
apologies. What was the thing
Oh
that
my.
you witnessed that you were like, I'm getting into this whole genre. This is my calling of entertainment.
So it wasn't anime that got me into animation, but I will say again, it's GI Joe that probably got me into animation, like looking
That's
at
why
it.
that's why I
And
rephrased it.
right, and and ironically, watching Dragon Ball a Saturday morning, it's
Right.
probably
Fair
that's
enough.
probably what did it.
Okay. Now I've got a surprise conversation with you that
Okay.
a lot of people may not know about you, but I do my research, sir. Tell me about your music career. Tell me all about that. How'd you come up with the name? How long you been doing it?
Okay. So musically, I've been going on for about 15, maybe 20 years now. Maybe something along those lines. Don't really keep track of it. Yeah, it's probably about 20 years because before my kids. So yeah, I've been doing it for a long time. But I've been doing it more off and on than on and off. Um, I love what I do. I love the feeling I can project out and the responses that I get. But I'm not addicted to the responses.
Right.
So I'll do things and I'll occasionally do shows. And there's some sites that I monitor every now and then, and I'll answer certain fans that say something to me on those sites. But I don't make it a habit to like go out and perform like I used to, or even attempt to. I just don't bother.
Stage name. What would
The
be your
club scene.
stage name, sir?
What would be my stage name?
No, what is it? We're talking about it.
Oh,
You got to let people know about you, man.
so Cowboy Elad 13 is my stage name. So that's when I do that. That's what I go by.
And what's the genre of music?
I definitely want to say I'm a hip hop artist more than a rap artist, more than a trap artist. I'm
What's the
definitely more of
difference?
a hip hop artist. So hip hop is more of it's more feeling related. You know, this is just my personal spin on it. There's a lot of feeling. There's a lot of passion behind it. There's a lot of meaning. You have a lot more, I guess, wordplay, verbal gymnastics. You know, there's a difference between a microphone commando, an MC, you know, and somebody that creates vibes and moods. You know, every genre of music has a certain category, and to me, hip hop is one of those things to where, you know, it's living, it's breathing, and it has a feeling behind it. You know, there's like like Biggie. Biggie is hip hop. Um, Pac is more soulful on the hip hop. So there's still sides to, you know, how you do certain things. But you know, I don't know. That's just my interpretation of it. That's what I would categorize it.
Okay.
I definitely don't do rap per se. No, I don't really do that.
Okay. Let me ask you this: since you're in the music industry, Now, when I throw this next question at you, you should automatically know how to respond to it. So here we go. Top 5 lyricists in the hip hop community.
Hi.
And in no
So,
particular order. It doesn't diminish their order. So just give
okay.
me your
In
5.
no particular order. So lyricist.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. So this is it's gonna be tough because I can give you two right off the top of my head, and then the other three kind of like float around
Okay.
until I pick something. So the two off the top of my head, no, I can give you three. Kumo D.
Okay. Classic.
Kumo D. Just if you look at his body of work and his delivery of things that he's done, there's no way you can say he was not a lyricist. There's just no way. Eminem, hands down. There's just no way you cannot say Eminem's not a lyricist.
This is true.
And I gotta say Rakim.
Oh, absolutely.
Gotta say
Absolutely.
Rakim. There's just top three in my head right now. Like those three guys, you just can't outthink them on a plane on a piece of paper. You just can't outthink them. That's
Okay. I still
that's
need
where I
2
go.
more, sir. I need
The
2
other two are
more.
floating around.
All right. Come on.
Floating around.
Come on. We got 60 minutes, sir.
It's kind of tough because I want to say somebody, but I don't. His body of work wasn't solid enough for me to give him that title. Um, that's so tough. Like everybody else, because they're like miles apart.
Right.
They're like miles. Well, I got to give Royce, but Royce is still. I can't say that with his body of work.
Well, I mean, he's a good lyricist. No,
he's
it does. I mean, I'm just asking for lyricists, in your opinion, who are great. Who are good lyricists. We'll take Royce, and I need one more.
Yeah. There's that last one, huh?
Yep, I'm gonna need it. I can't move on without having you complete the question, sir.
That last one. Who's that last guy that I just got to give it to? Oh God, like that last one. That last one is just
I'll leave it alone. I'll leave it alone. All right, fair enough.
You know what? I'll say this. He was a friend of mine, and he passed away a while ago, but was literally one of the greatest MCs I ever heard in my life. And that was Shabazz, Shabazz. Greatest MC I ever heard in my life. He would freestyle things that it would take me a day or two to realize what he said. And like that you lost the battle. Like he was that good. So rest in peace, Shabazz. Like, but he was absolutely amazing. That he would make that list. And I think he had props that he should have gotten, long beyond. So probably one of the greatest I've ever heard.
Fair enough. All right, I'm going to grant you one wish, and this wish will entail that you get one album with any artist on the planet, past or present, music artist. Who would you collab with?
I'd have to shoot for him.
I'm sorry, say it again.
I'd have to shoot for Eminem. I'd have to.
Eminem.
If I'm going to take a shot, if I'm going to take a shot, you're going to, and I'm going to feel 100% that he's going to absolutely destroy every part of my verse. But the point of it is that
it's
you're going to learn something. You're going to learn something, and you're going to walk away with that with your head held high. At least, and by the end of the day, and how you take that. So if I had to, that would be it. That would be the one.
What's the grossest color, in your opinion?
The grossest color.
Mm-hmm.
My sister's probably not gonna like this one. Purple. I don't really care for it.
Don't like purple. Okay.
Don't really like purple.
All right, purple. That's fair. Hey, we don't gotta like purple at all. We don't have to like it at all. We
I'm sorry, Grimace.
We don't have to. We don't have to like it at all.
Sorry, Grimace. I'm sorry, Grover, or whatever. I just don't really care. It's
No
purple.
worries. This is
Sorry.
your interview. This is your interview. We're
Yeah.
here to ask the important questions and statements. Like for this one, this is a goodie. What's the worst thing about you?
The worst thing about me.
Yep. You wake up and you're like, damn.
I'm extremely competitive and hard on myself. I can honestly say that to the point it's a flaw. I have to learn how to dial it down.
Okay.
Okay. Right. I mean, there's stories that I can tell you, but I literally have to dial it down. The short version is that I was in the gym the other day, and there was a gentleman there that was hitting the treadmill on 8.2 for 45 minutes, and I'm across the gym and I'm competing with him in my mind. Like, it just doesn't matter for me. I just lock on and I'm like, oh, this is what's going to happen. And we never even spoke. Never spoke, but I'm picking a fight with that guy instantly just because I want to be the hardest working person in the room. I am that, like, in my mind. And not a crossword. We never locked eyes, never, said anything, never blinked at each other, nothing. Nothing ever happened except for me.
Okay.
So that's a huge flaw of mine.
All right. Fair enough. What was going through your mind at the moment your wife said yes?
Really? Oh, okay. Well, we're gonna do this, huh? you know, it was very untraditional. It was very untraditional, not only like how I asked or how the question was asked or how the relationship started. It was very untraditional.
Right.
Our communication started with a text message. I sent a message to her and said, "Hey, you're cute," and she was like, "Oh, thank you." I was busy doing something, so I was like, "Oh, I didn't expect you to answer me back." So 20 questions, 21 questions, go. And I just kind of walked up because I forgot I was even talking to her because I was busy doing something else. And she responded, asked me 20 questions, and we just kind of kept talking from there. And, so it was it just started not the way you normally think things would start. Just, I mean, life is what happens to you while you're making plans, right? So, uh, here we are, 12 something, 13, I don't know how many years later.
No, that's awesome. All right. Throughout your entire life, who has been that one person that's been a mentor?
Oh, um, a mentor.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've had different stages. And so throughout my life, I can't say there's been one constant throughout my entire life.
Let's go with one that sticks out the most. Who impacted you that, under that sort of mentorship, who impacted you, influenced you, who sticks out? Since you have different stages, who's the one that sticks out the most?
So the one that probably sparked the biggest change was Senior Airman Combs. He was probably one that sparked the biggest change in my life for me to hold myself accountable and do a lot of self-reflection. Um, the situation, I'll never forget this because it happened abruptly and it was in like my teenage mindset. And he got right in my face. He was like right there in my face, and he said, "Which one are you, stupid or lazy?" And when he waited, I realized, oh, you want an answer. I thought you were just kind of like insulting me,
Right.
And so you wanted an answer. And I was like, so then I started thinking back to my childhood. I mean, literally, this is in real time. I'm thinking about my childhood. I'm like, I don't think I ever did anything. Like, I started like trying to reflect on everything I've ever done. I'm like, wait a minute, I I didn't know this. I was going to be, tested. And, after I thought about it for a couple seconds, I said, stupid, sir. And this is like the most profound thing he ever gave me. He said, good. Stupid means you just don't know any better. Right. Lazy means you know better and you just don't want to do it. Smart. So from then on out, it was like, oh my God, I'm always going to not know something, but it's what I put out and what I try to apply.
Right.
And that just changed everything, like for me. So I was like, from then on out, I was always like, okay, I don't know this. Teach me. What do I need to know? Or how do I need, from that moment on, like he was probably the one, and it was only that one conversation that we had. Okay. But it literally changed everything else and how I thought.
All right, fair enough. All right, I'm going to dive deep into some secrets here, my good sir.
Okay.
Yeah, you're going to need to wet the whistle here. All right. During this whole conversation, I realized you spoke of your children, one boy, one girl, correct?
I spoke of that, but I have more.
Oh, well, these are the two that you have mentioned, but okay. Well, with that said, something that they don't know that you have been secretly proud of them. What were those moments that you have never mentioned?
So, I'm not the type to unequivocally just, praise my kids or just, say things to their detriment or anything like that. I'm not that kind of person. I do tell them when I think that they're doing good, and I also tell them when I think that they're doing poor, because it's a matter of fixing it. I can start with my son. Okay. When my son came into, my life, and one of the conversations that we had was, I told him, my job is to teach you how to be a man. You don't have to like me for me to accomplish my job. We may not even have to agree.
Right.
But what's important is I get you to that goal. No matter what happens between A and B, my goal is here. And just so you know that, everything else is up in the air. So when I do have to talk to my son or, reprimand him or tell him something or encourage him, whenever something like that happens, he knows that the end game and the end goal of what I want to do is to better him. And I will say this, that he takes it on the chin. He takes it with critique, with criticism, with feedback. He takes it like a man, even beyond his years. And I will give him wholehearted credit for that because, at that age and when I was younger, I wouldn't have been able to do that. So I think it becomes through that understanding of that communication, because my parents didn't give me that, but I give him that, and he responds totally different. So I give him all the credit in the world for being, that person and understanding, like, I need to pivot. I need to make this change. This is why this is happening. This is what I need to do. Like, I give him all the credit in the world when it comes to that. My youngest daughter, is more of a independent person. And I appreciate her spirit to want to do things on her own. At the same time, her scope is kind of limited because what she's been exposed to or what she hasn't been exposed to.
Right.
So I appreciate her independence, but I really wish she would use the buddy system a little bit more. Sometimes she gets too far out there, but she has that independent spirit. She wants to do things herself. I get it. I understand it. But I told her perception is reality. Perception is reality. And she has the resting face. So sometimes it doesn't go the way she thinks. It's funny because my wife used to pick them up from school. I didn't go to the school. I didn't at all. I just did not go to the school at all. And the teacher came out and told my wife that my daughter gave him the dirtiest look that his wife didn't even give him. He felt it in his soul she gave him the dirtiest look, and he was just like, I didn't know how to feel about it. And this is a grown man, like feeling it. So I tried to tell her, like, look, you can't do that, But she was like, he was annoying me. And I'm like, yeah, but you got to change your face. You got to, you can't like look at people like that on, But she's very independent. I will give her that, and her spirit is different. Um, my next daughter is the free spirit, and she amazes me in different ways. She amazes me in so many different ways. Without getting in all these different stories or anything, because with her, she lives life at a different pace. And I don't mean like in a fast life. I mean like it's amazing some of the things she does and she processes. The best way I can describe my daughter is that she is a superhero, right? But everybody dies because she didn't change her outfit. Okay, that's it's like she's not saving anything, but she has all the potential and capabilities in the world. I mean, like, one year she decided I want to play an instrument and picks up the cello and is doing all county in 6 months. Um, she leaves the house and starts dating, a Honduras guy. Now she speaks better Spanish than my wife, who's Puerto Rican and Italian. I don't understand how she does it. She just does it, and
Right.
thinks she comes back with whole new, things. Just brilliant in different ways of like untrackable ways. Then there's the oldest daughter who is, going to medical school and going to get her master's. And she just has such a genuine soul and genuine nature that it's very comforting and humble to be around and just let her grow. And as a father, I want nothing. I want nothing to do with it to interrupt her from
Right.
her journey. And so it's like, I'm trying to encourage her by not talking, but like I want her so much more to succeed because I know the potential that she has. So like those are all my kids as far as like being proud of them in individual ways. And it excites me to see their growth.
Okay. Fair enough. So I'm going to give you a moment to make a couple of statements for those that will be watching this video someday. You never know, right? We never know who's going to be watching. So I'm going to give you a few moments to leave a nice message to your wife.
Okay, so I wish I would have prepared for this. Let me have hold on a second. So let me see if I can okay. No, so my wife's name is Cookie. Um, I absolutely adore you. I really do. Despite my unemotional delivery at times, it's my whole entire universe would not be what it is without a thought of you in it. There's no comparison to how much you not only have helped me develop as a person, or how much you've helped me become the person that I am. I wouldn't have gotten to know these kids. I wouldn't have gotten to appreciate them in the way, in the time frame that I would have without you. I heard this in a movie once that, when you go through a divorce and a separation or something like that, um, you you lose half of yourself. Like you feel like you're not a circle anymore. You're broken. You're incomplete. That's what that broken thing comes from. And you realize that you weren't a whole, but you were a half of a whole. Well, in this relationship, there's been times where I didn't realize what you were doing on your end, that you were completing the other half of me that I never thought about. And now, wholeheartedly, I know that like you're my other, if not better half, with me being competitive. You're my other and better half, and I couldn't do any of this without you. Whether it's coaching, parenting, working, I couldn't do this without you. So, um, that being said, delete this entire message that I said. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, it gets even better. Now one for your kids.
You're not in my will.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, tell them whatever you want.
I'm
It's your
kidding. I'm
video.
kidding. No, no. My kids know that they're my entire world. I have something funny, but it's also serious. So this is the first time I've ever said it, like in camera in front of the world to everybody to see. So my final arrangements have been determined and made for decades. Okay, and what I want, because I'm being serious, but I'm being funny, but I'm being serious. Okay, um, all of my kids are getting a revolver, and I'm getting cremated, and I'm having myself made into bullets. So all of my kids are going to get different rounds of me, a personalized revolver with their nicknames and everything from me on it, and so on and so forth. And the reason I'm doing this is because I think it's funny as hell, but it's also serious to hear my daughter say, "Don't make me get my daddy." Don't make me get my daddy. And if I ever see anybody in my afterlife with a little bit of me on them, it's on site. I know what I need to do.
It's on
there's
site.
no there's no question. There's nothing to talk about. And I do think it's kind of funny that the newspapers might see dead man commits premeditated murder.
All right, that's fair.
So there you go. It's I love my kids beyond, so it's just kind of funny to me, but that is serious. That is exactly what I'm going to do with my life, and after that. So I have enough plans to make sure that they're taken care of. So
All right. Now, a lovely message to your fans and your community who have been supporting you.
there's always somebody that cares. Always. It may not be in the time that you want them to care. It may not be the person that you want to care. It may not be the perspective that you want to care. But the thing is what's wrong with that? If somebody can't come through for you in your darkest hour, in your darkest time, in your darkest needs, find somebody else. Find something else. Find another means. Always continue to grow. Don't be stagnant into one situation. In this life, I've been through a lot of hardship. I've been through a lot of heartache, a lot of pain, a lot of loss. And I realized that the one thing that is consistent with me is I learned the reason my logo, I mean, it's my motto for the company. And this is not a sales pitch. This is really an idea. It's 24 hours better. Because no matter what happened to you yesterday, no matter what's going on in your life, no matter what hardships you're having, if you take it into consideration that no matter what you're doing and dealing with, you're better tomorrow. Some of us may not even see tomorrow. Some of us may not get there. But if you do get there, then you're definitely better than what you were yesterday. Leaving problems yesterday, those are for yesterday's problems. You wouldn't dare pack a suitcase to go to the beach and then leave that suitcase packed and take it to your job the next week, and then take that suitcase from your job to your party life, or to your party, and then your club. You wouldn't keep carrying that suitcase. But we do that. We carry problems from day to day to day to day to day. And eventually that suitcase gets so heavy that we can't lift the load, and we can't carry it with us, and it becomes too much of a burden. And it can be something very simple. Drop the suitcase off. Lose the luggage. Luggage gets lost all the time. Drop it. Drop it and refocus your energy on what really matters to you. So the 24 hours better, it was something that really impacted me. It's what changed me. It's what changed my mindset into doing and this and being a better person. Being, lost, homeless, carless, jobless, and going through all this stuff only taught me one thing, and that's what I needed to be in order for my family to be. I needed to be a person that I had no mentor idea of how to do it. I had to figure that part out. And I noticed what was, you know, again, I'm not trying to preach on the soapbox, but I never thought, like, I didn't have a girlfriend until I was like 18 or something, and I never kissed a girl, never did nothing like that. Like, it just wasn't in my brain that I might be attractive. That's not a thought that I had. It wasn't until I was like 25 where somebody paid me to stand on like a corner and hand out chocolates to people. And the funny thing is like I got paid like 5 times more doing that where I was doing concrete that morning. I was doing firewood that morning, working a third shift job, making 5.15 an hour. And I said to myself at that moment, what do I need to be this person?
Right.
What do I need to do to make sure that this happens in my life to where I can have the opportunity to do more for my family? And that's when my wife came into to play and started saying, "Go back to school, get this. I got you. Let's support you." And I didn't think it was possible. I didn't think it was possible, but when it happened, walking across that stage and getting my diploma, in front of my kids, and shout out to my buddy Gene who just graduated magna cum laude, awesome. But like I just walked across that stage and I got all that, and my kids were there, and I didn't even tell my parents. I didn't know getting that changed me from surviving to thriving. And I don't know if it's a degree that you need to get. I don't know if that, but whatever it is, there's something in your life that you need to make that pivot from surviving to thriving. That's what I'm about. And Key, I know you do the same thing for your community. I see you online all the time. I see you try to change mindsets from surviving to thriving and what they do and how they do it and how to elevate people, build them up, help them up with technology, savvy, knowledge. I see you doing it all the time. It's one of the reasons I'm like, I love you, man. We're on this page and we're on this path of trying to make something better out
Yeah.
of the creations that we have.
Love you too.
Yeah, love you, man. So no matter what, trust me, if you don't ever talk to me, if you don't talk to Key, if you don't get a chance to do any of that, I release podcasts like on YouTube. The link will be somewhere out there. It's little 2-3 minute affirmations of deep dive thoughts that you can take on your own. Because sometimes we go through things and we may not have like a life coach. We may not have a therapist. We may not have, means to go do that. And we need to just that mental space to break away from the monotony. That's up there for anybody and everybody that wants it. It's free of charge. It's there. Just go do it, take it, and do something to get better. And once you do that, I promise you, your life will start changing. So that's where I am with that.
Okay. Well, for everybody watching, all the links will be below this video, so that way you'll be able to check them out. But I'm gonna let this man tell you where he can find you before we get out of here. Where can they find you? And where you want them to tell you to follow you at? Shameless plug time.
Shameless plug time. Okay, so there's the QR code on this side. Yeah, on this side of the screen. You can scan it. It's right over my shoulder here or there, whichever shoulder it was. It's this one. It's right over my shoulder. That one. You can. I don't have the camera reversed, so you can scan that. Get right into the Motivation Masters group where I work with people constantly. I post different content all the time where we do free different affirmations, free different videos, free different trainings, free different courses. We do this all the time. Of course, I work with people one-on-one. Of course, I have programs. Of course, I have learning material. Of course, I have all this stuff, but I'm not always trying to get in your pockets. That's not what I'm about. We have a YouTube channel. There is a podcast. There is a Spotify channel as well if you wanted to listen to that. Again, I try to keep things, under 5 minutes so you can, hop out the shower or do whatever, brush your teeth, and still kind of get that deep thought in your questioning your brain to retrain your brain, retrain your thinking. So that's where you can find me on most things, Holistic Life Coach. You'll see the picture or you'll see the logo. That's me. I do answer at 24 hours better at Gmail. You can answer that as well or message me out. There is a Facebook fan page as well. You can message that. Either one. It goes through, and my wife isn't actually on admin on there too. So you may be able to speak to, whatever time we can book out. Or you can just call Key and ask him to call me for you.
I can always do that. I could. All right. We're now end of all of this rigmarole, right? This wonderful time with you, my good sir, because, it's about an hour. But I have a bonus question for you. Are you ready?
Oh boy, here we go.
Why does Batman suck so much?
I think expectation.
Go on.
People have expectations of Batman of what he shouldn't be able to do. But the thing is like that's kind of his thing. He does things he shouldn't be able to do.
Okay.
I can get on a soapbox and say nobody question. If you ever get bored, right? You ever get bored? Look up the 10 forgotten powers of Superman, and nobody questions the crap that Superman does. The absolute the horse shit that Superman does, nobody questions it.
Right.
Because they just chalk it up to the writers had nothing left, so they just made it up. But if you're willing to accept that, but you question that Batman can carry around kryptonite, I don't understand. I just don't understand.
Okay.
I could go, trust me, for hours about the Superman is my number one most hated character of all time.
Okay, fair enough.
I just wanted to
look,
upset a lot of people.
hey, look, I get it. You can hate who you want to hate. I just wanted to know about Batman. We can save that for another time. The next interview, we'll go in on Superman. We could do that.
Yeah.
Now, Mr. Stage One Heroes, I want to say thank you for your time. I want to say thank you for allowing me to ask you a couple of questions, getting to know you, as do everyone else who's watching this. I really do thank you. And again, I'm super honored that you got on camera. I appreciate that.
Yeah. It's a little nervous for me. I mean, we're turning a page. Maybe I'll do it.
Hey,
maybe.
Look, you've done great. You're pretty. You're good for eye candy. You're good. We're gonna get out of here now. You're gonna say goodbye. We're gonna leave. We gotta go. We're gonna leave. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say, okay, go ahead. You say goodbye, and then I'm gonna close it out. Go ahead.
No, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Keith. Thanks for having me. You're awesome, brother. Stay up. Stay positive.
Yeah, no problem. Hey, guys, want to say thank you guys for watching and getting to know another interesting person. And tune in next time. Maybe me and Stage One will probably tell you how a super cool event, the Lemon Party, actually goes. Inside Edition style. Cheers, guys.